So, hello and welcome to everyone. Sorry for the delay. As you can see, we are still trying to get all the technical details in place. Hopefully, we have it all sorted now. Otherwise, you will just have a little bit more to laugh at. I am here with the famous Phil. Hello and welcome.
Hello, 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 everybody. It's my favourite show of the entire season. Not because I get this is the only time I get to be right, um, but yeah, it's a good show. I do like this one.
So, just to recap, me and Evie are still agreeing that it was pure luck. Just for the
I think
record.
I think the skill personally, but there we go.
I will then mention something that a very famous Danish goalkeeper who played for Manchester for a period said. He said, "It's funny how people say I get more lucky the more I train."
Mm,
So I think we'll leave it at that then. Good. So
absolutely.
I think we are in for a really interesting season this time, and I think the lure of a ticket on top of everything has also definitely and lured some more people in. It's great to see that. What are we up to now? 10 divisions plus conference, right?
So we've got 127 coaches
Oh,
playing this
jeez.
season. So
Yes.
yeah, it's a
That's
good
pretty many.
good competitive season, I think.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So I think we'll just have a quick look at it from the start. Let's see if I can get this to show you the same thing just because it makes it easier if we're looking at the same
So
thing, everyone.
just while
Oh, yes.
I'm just sorting some bits out. Um, in case you're not a member of the UKBBL Discord, in the UKBBL's general chat is a vote, and you can vote yourself for who will be the top three in Prem East and Prem West. Because they only allow 10 choices in each one, the choices are basically split across the two poles. So the first two are east, and then the second two are west. In case people start chatting in the UKBBL's general Discord, they are pinned, so you can find them, um, and then just um, we'll have a little look at the end and see what people think. Um, kind of the people's choice, should we put it that way? You can't obviously tell us who you think will win. Um, Discord's not that savvy with its polls. We're just doing a nice basic simple poll. So it's literally choose your three who you think will be the top three in Prem East and Prem West. So are we going to start at the bottom?
Yes, I think we're gonna.
Angela, I think.
It also leaves people to get their votes in before we start blabbering about. I think though it's Evie's votes again that is going for Prem to see if he can do it better this season. So I have them noted down here. He couldn't, however, make it for tonight's show, so you will have it without the commentary, at least from him. We will still comment on it, but yes, yeah. Sadly, he couldn't make it. Cool. Let's start at the
Bottom with
new
the
fresh
forest.
teams.
So I took this one, and this one's quite well. Some of them I found, well, I thought was quite hard to pick because we've got again so many new coaches. I think we've got 22 new coaches to this season. So this is quite hard. I'm going to start with my division that I'm adminning. And we're just going to go through them pretty quickly. I probably won't say it a lot. It's because they're fresh coaches. So just how I've looked at this is I've gone, what's the underlying stats for the coaches? What are they playing? What do they look like at the beginning? I think it becomes a little bit more challenging once the teams are a bit more developed. So as you've got, let's start with Griffin's Wood because you've got them right at the top. So Griffin's Wood, we're going to go for my top three. Is going to be Noodles 0424 will be first with their Necro Horror. The Only Dead Man is going to be second, and then Coach Noodle is going to be third. And I can't remember what they settled the name on, but the Stir Fry Derby could be quite a crucial fixture between Coach Noodle and Noodle 0424. Um, so I've gone for my dark horse to be Bombadil, who's a Wood Elf coach. Now, if I have the right coach, the reason why I've gone for this to be a dark horse is based on the stats that are on Nuffle.xyz. They have not played a lot of agility teams on Blood Bowl 3. So it could be a case of the fact that he's a pointy ear in disguise as an orc and maybe just hasn't realised that they're actually an elf all along. And actually that's going to be their team. And we do have a special category, which are we a
Yes. Yes.
friendly? Are we a kids friendly show?
Yeah.
So
No. We are marked as adult content.
oh, fabulous! Right, so I called this most likely to fuck up my predictions. I just wanted to check. Could I swear?
Yes.
Um, yeah. Okay. So in Griffin's Wood, I'm going to give that to Frosty Laser, who's been around for a long time in the leagues and kind of always usually sits mid-table. But it's playing Norse, and again, Norse are a bit glass cannon. If they start really well, they can get out of control. If they don't start well, they'll just fall to pieces. So I'm gonna put Frosty Laser. I'm actually gonna call the most likely to fuck up my predictions the Mathimus Award because yeah, I mean
Justified.
Mathimus did a good job of trying to fuck
Yeah.
up my predictions last
Oh,
season.
definitely.
So
So I get
there we
the
go.
honor of predicting the league keys in this time. So now I can be the one to get to fuck it up.
Yeah.
So I will also, however, take a special mentions to Mortis King just purely because, like I said, I predicted him last season, and as you told me, that means that he couldn't succeed, which turned out to be very correct. So
Yep.
just to make sure that the same thing happens again, I'm gonna mention his name just to make sure that it happens again.
I mean,
So
I don't even know what Mortkeen is playing, but I'm assuming
no,
it's something murdery because he always plays something murdery.
yeah,
Um,
purely me
so
guessing
yeah,
would be Necro, but that's
yeah. Okay, let's go to Dratwell Forest. We'll
yes,
fire through these bottom ones. So my top three in this order are going to be Jonah and his Necro. So finished fourth with Imps last season. I thought harsh to twist them. Think he had quite a decent team, and I do consider Necro a better race than Imps. I just think they're a
yeah,
better race.
they're good.
So the fact that Jonah's finishing in the top half with a challenging team, I think it's fair enough that he's going to finish there. Second is Kenders and the Norse.
Yeah.
Um, so for Kenders, his win rate isn't particularly brilliant with Norse, but does have a 58% win rate with Halflings across 45 games.
That's impressive.
So there's a very good coach there.
Yeah.
Or he's playing in some kind of stunty league where he's playing even worse halflings or goblins or something.
True.
And third, I'm going to go for Hornet 13. And again, this is why it's just really, really difficult because I don't know a lot of these coaches. So if I found the right coach, has played a lot of human games.
Yes.
Um, and if not, humans are still pretty good in this division because they have a pretty decent start. You've got some block, you've got a big guy.
Yeah.
The first skill you get is you get guard. They're a good starting race, right?
Yeah.
Dark Horse is going to be Ichigokuto. I think I said that right. Who's playing Skaven. And again, just doing the research, haven't played much Skaven at all.
You cut out there. I don't know if
It seems quite a good.
you are disappearing, Phil, for breaks here.
It was obvious who was going to be the. I've called this the fuck up coach. This
Yes.
might be quite harsh, but it's got to be Blitzy, right? Surely.
Yeah. Also with Nurgle, right? That is a. It's Nurgle is always one of
In
those
my
teams that needs a little bit of.
streams, I feel like Blitzy's just one of those coaches just go, I'd love to be the guy who's just gonna fuck up this for you. I, I think he might quite enjoy that. So I thought I'd give him that one because I do think Nurgle's a particularly challenging race.
They suffer
At
much. Like I
starting.
think they're even worse than Lizardmen at starting out the gate with more or less nothing, and you have to like at least once you just get one skill, then you can at least get one block, or you can get one what is it, extra arms, so you at least can pick up the ball. Like, and at least then you can do something, right? But yeah,
Yeah. Uh,
I think we're losing Phil here quite a few
I
times.
think we got one more to do, which is mine. I think
Yeah,
it's mine, isn't it? Ooh.
Lauren Hill.
Okay, so I personally found this one, I think, the easiest because we've got a couple of goblin coaches. Um, we've also got some coaches who have come down from the Prem.
Yeah,
So if anybody wasn't predicting who they're going to do this, I'm going to do this from reverse order.
yeah,
So the most likely to fuck up my predictions, I think, are going to be both Norse teams.
yeah,
So I've given it to both Tangleberry and Nutty Champ. And the reason I'm giving it to both of them is, again, it's that glass cannon. If they start badly, things will go south pretty quickly. If they start well, they could do really well. It's
yeah,
just kind of what you get in the first couple of games with Norse.
yeah. Either
Um,
or.
my dark horse I'm going to give to Odd Leg Steve because there's no data, so I don't know about him. So he could be brilliant.
True.
But yeah, it's a bit of my wild card. Okay, third place in Laurel is going to be JB, so Just a Bully and the Necro.
Yeah. Sounds like we're losing you quite a bit
Since
here.
I've been playing, he's bounced between those top two divisions, so I'm expecting him to finish high in this league. Second is going to be Chuck Dredd. Again, another high finishing Prem coach. He was the highest finishing twisting Prem coach, and I think only twisted because his star gutter runner died.
Yeah,
Um, the top one who I think is going to win this is going to be Alan76, and it's going to be the Orcs.
yeah.
Um, his own admission, he's
We are losing
is
you, Phil, for
um,
extended periods.
oh, you're losing me for extended periods, so I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope I'm saying something interesting.
You are
Um,
probably, but the problem is neither me or the audience is hearing it. So we
Hopefully
cannot
that's better.
verify nor deny.
Okay. You let's hope they can hear me now.
Yeah,
So yeah, has a winning record with everything. Alan 76 on Blood Bowl 3 so far. So gonna go for them for the top.
yeah.
I'm gonna give a special note here again to Jean-Luc TV, who has played 147 games of Halflings and has
Wow.
won just 17 of them. This guy's a proper Blood Bowl player.
That is
Like,
dedication. That
that is
that
a proper.
either that or a true masochist.
Well, I mean, I think
We lost you again.
and to just go and watch him because I reckon he's just good fun. I just reckon
Yeah,
he's good fun.
yeah.
So there we go.
Cool.
Um, have I done my? Yeah, I think I've done everything
Yeah,
in
that's
that division.
the forest league or woods or not going to mention the naming convention not being stuck here. Definitely not going to. Not going to be
No,
rubbing salt into that
no.
wound.
Let's not have that discussion. At least not now.
It's
Um,
too late.
yeah.
So I think we should have a look at the hills.
You can't get upset about it.
Oh no, I can't be because I'm already am. So I can't be.
Apparently, I'm good at it, so I then have to do a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right. So, do we have the rosters for these guys available? I can't remember.
Well, we can have them if we're lucky. I can open Blood Bowl and see if we can open the teams on the side here. I think we
Well,
did that last.
we could possibly do it through Nuffle. Actually, that's probably a better way of doing it.
Yeah, but if they are in Nuffle, they will be on the blood board because it's replicating whatever is in the game. So there's actually a better chance that we'll find them in the game because it will be
True.
more up to date. So Mathimus, I have to kill you for a comment like that afterwards here.
That's quite funny. I quite like that. Optimus. Can see all the games you play.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
I think the easiest
Sonic
way for me is to go in here then.
Factorio.
Yeah.
Hello, Bombadil.
Hey, Bobbadil.
You
So,
you mi- you missed the fact that I predicted you as the dark horse of your
oh,
division.
he might just have been in shock until now.
What, sort of passed out on the floor somewhere in
Yes!
sort of wonderment.
That or horror. 50-50. League. We were gonna start with Baron Hills, right?
Yeah, we can start with the Baron Hills.
Yeah.
So we might as well have a little look at kind of who's in
I think they're all in here, and I think they're
of the league.
trimmed and everything.
So, Dark Horse. Let's start with the Dark Horse first.
Yeah.
Dark Horse is going to be my favourite player in this league. Has got to be the halflings of Bushranger. Just
Yeah.
got to be.
Well,
Like
for halflings,
halflings are definitely not the worst when
no.
Bushranger is playing them.
No.
You do not get 18 points in the UKBBL unless you're with halflings, unless you're pretty decent.
No.
So
That is actually quite impressive. So if we have a little sneak peek.
100%.
Yeah.
So for those people who are not sure what Dark Horse is, Dark Horse is basically so we're predicting our top threes. We're basically looking at the Dark Horse will be someone who we think might break into that top three, might have a chance to break into that.
We're losing here again.
MTV. I like the fact that you've got the leader on the halfling, and there is a boosted catcher, which I think is quite cool. Probably saving up for something like an agility boost would probably be nice.
Yeah.
I suspect on Frankfurter.
I think we are chasing movement here, maybe. Could be.
The third place for Barron Hills is I'm going to go to Mitch 2161998. Yeah, I agree, Mark. I think Bushranger is going to have some serious toys to play with in this one. Yeah, Mitch again had a really good season last season. It's a pretty solid roster. Obviously needs its cash booted, but I think Snow Troll's doing that this evening. Yeah, I mean it's just a really nice roster.
Yeah.
It's just a nice roster
Okay.
at this stage for 1400.
Definitely.
What I picked up though is a lot of in a lot of this these divisions, they're kind of getting to the stage where they're going to need to start randoming some stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that I picked up because you're looking at this roster and you're going, right, there's going to be some extra skills on these guys next season. Who are you getting rid of? And I mean, there's obvious choice in the fact that you could get rid of a lineman, for example, and that would give you an additional 3 skills.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to need to start randomly. Second place, again, this one I felt really boring because I kind of almost went up the points on this one. However, this one breaks the mold because although this coach finished kind of something like 7th or 8th, they did reach the final of the FA Cup. So that's Cephas Kane and his Wood Elves will be my second pick for this division.
Mm-hmm. I think it was quite impressive to make it all the way, and I think the main reason he only ended up with 10 points is that he switched over mid-season and moved up to a higher division on top of that. But that is a nice Wood Elf team.
Turning option developing with the fact you got Krusty the Clown. Yeah, it's he's going to be there or thereabouts, I think. The only reason I didn't put Cephas Kane as a top pick is because they lost to the team that I think is going to win. And that's going to be, I think, the new Chaos Chosen champion, and that's La 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 Prout.
Yeah.
are not a great starting roster, and La 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 Prout has taken this roster and won the Laurel Forest West. So yeah, I mean, you can't really argue against them being a top end coach. Again, though, you're looking at this roster, it's going to need to start doing some randoms. You've got to start randoming them. The only other choice you could probably do at the end of the season is probably start cutting some blockers to get some baby ones again and keep some of the decent ones.
Yeah.
But you will definitely want to start randoming heavily on the Beastmen during the season to see whether you can get something good and something cheap. Like you're probably looking to random perhaps a claw and then seeing whether you can then, but you could then put block on. That saves you 10k. A TV. That's really how I think that team's going to develop. So yeah, this one I found I kind of went up the points really with this one.
But I
Found
also
that
think
one.
and this doesn't go for this team also, but like when you get to this development stage, it's also like where you need to sort of go like, okay, I got what I can more or less get. I need to optimize, and then thereby either start firing people to build them with randoms and get it so cheaper so you can have more stuff. This is like a common step, and the good thing about like this specific team or similar teams is you have enough of a core of skills that you can actually have the luxury of starting to like kicking off players and go like, yeah, I need a more optimized version of more or less, maybe sometimes the same, but yeah. But the cores are there. You have a core team that can actually do the job for you now at this point. But yeah. So who's gonna fuck up this
Okay.
predictions?
So sorry, you cut out a couple of times there, Archangel. I don't know whether it's
I'm fearing it's the Discord. Then
a couple of times there. At least I lost you a couple of times there.
you know what?
No,
Just give me.
no one said it on the chat, but I lost you a couple of times. Hey,
Okay.
what have I got? What have I got to do with it, Mathimus? That's not very nice.
Let me just try to I'll just try to call you on Discord on a private
um,
chat instead because I think it might be the.
oh, it's me.
Just bear with us here, two things. Hello again.
Hello, hello. Is that any better? Please tell me you can hear
So
my
so
glorious
so
voice.
so 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 so
Glorious.
far so good.
Oh, that's fabulous.
So let's try that.
Okay, so we've basically missed four, 2/3 of what I drivel on about. So there we go. So next time we just need to do a call.
Yeah,
Yay!
much
Thank you,
better.
Squeaky McSqueak. Right. Should we do the next one?
Yes, I just have to
Okay.
get the
So
two things
let's
here.
go
I just
for.
need the let's call it, yes, here. So we need the Baron Hill, most likely to fuck up your predictions person.
Yeah. So this one I did find difficult because I thought, okay, well I'm pretty happy with my 1, 2, 3, and then it was kind of like, who do I choose as like my and I had to go Zenjo really because it was yeah, lizards, they can be good, they can be boom or bust. It's kind of like a more wild dark horse, I think. Um, and actually, just looking at Zenjo's roster, I can see why Lizardmen are actually they're really really horrible to play at this particular cap. And I have to say, the if you want to go and see a really good, well developed Lizardman roster, and I'm not saying um, this has not been well developed. It's just Tapestry's roster, who I think we might possibly mention later on,
Might.
um, will kind of show you kind of what 5 seasons of Blood Bowl 3 playing the same race will do. And I suspect Snow Troll's roster is exactly the same. Remember, this one's a bit more baby.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's got some tools in there. I like, obviously, the agility boosted Skink Runner.
Yeah.
My only concern for this roster is that the Saurus are going to take some time to level because all your touchdown points are going to come on
Yeah.
Zenjo's
So so so
Agility
f-
boosted lizard, because why wouldn't you? Because that's the one you can score with.
I'm a little
Um,
bit surprised that this Saurus hasn't been replaced with a new one for the final 90k.
I suspect it's because you've got
Two-star
there
preference?
wasn't enough money. There wasn't enough money about to do it.
Could be.
So yeah, so I did think about Ankaro. I did think about that, but that would be the obvious option. And so I thought, well, I'll 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 go a little bit more uh, left field. Um, I also don't know how Ankaro's season went last time. It could have been just like really bad dice with
Yeah.
6 points last season in Colsa Hills, so not a particularly brilliant season. I had a little look at the balance of the league in comparison to last season, and the balance of the league is the same. So although I would expect Ankara with an extra season of development to do better,
Yeah.
um, the the it was really just kind of personal choice. It's kind of like I just
The
preferred
problem is you sort
preferred
of want to
other
predict
teams.
all to win, right? And the problem is
Well,
that's
of
just
course, yeah. I can't predict everyone to win, unfortunately.
no.
I'd love it if I could. Um,
But that is
yeah,
a nasty orc.
yeah. But it's as I say, like if you coming up against the bash teams,
Yeah.
you you can play it in such a way that you're only ever going to play against one mighty blow per turn,
Yeah,
right?
I think for me
You can
for 11 players, almost 1400, I like you sort of again like also if you get 6 points with this last season, yeah.
I mean, remember the roster wouldn't have looked like this last season,
No, no, no.
so
No, no.
that's why I'm expecting
Only
Ankara
for
to be.
like likely the last match or so. Well, at least with those amount of star player points, so it's not something we hit the last match.
So Matthemus put as an Ankara has definitely fucked up our teams back in last season. He
Yeah.
might not have ended on. He might have been angry the impact. Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
no. Maybe I should have put Ankara as my most likely to fuck up my
I
predictions.
will give you the same options that I gave Evie
Well, you
later.
can.
Is this your final answer then?
Um, yeah, let's go with it. That's what I thought, so I'm going to go with it.
Cool.
Okay. We've got one more to do, haven't we? Which is
Got two
the
more.
Colton
Got both
Hill.
Colsa and Folic.
Oh, which one do you want to do first? I really don't mind.
Let's do Colsa. It's top of the list.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's go with that. We'll go third, second, first, then we'll go Dark Horse.
Yeah.
So third, again. So I was sort of not sure between the two. So basically, I'll do Dark Horse and third at the same time. So I've chosen both the Necro sides. So I'm going to go third place as Dragon's Bane,
Yeah.
and his Necro side, and the Dark Horse is Smoother Karma. And although uh, Dragon's Bane finished with a point less, the only reason I can think of to kind of go, well, I I know Dragon's Bane because I've played with him a while. I haven't played as long with Smoother Karma, so that's the only logical choice. So that's why I said, well, I have to put the Dark Horse as Smoother Karma because they're on paper based on last season. They're pretty similar coaches. I think when I looked back on it, I think I might have liked Dragon's Bane rostered just a shade more. I think. Obviously looking at sort of 6 different divisions. So that what's that? 72 rosters.
Yeah.
I was having a little look through. So
I think I would agree with you on that.
I
They're
think just
both nice. But I think talking about the random aspect of it and keeping the team value down. Like they're technically the same team value, and I think this is good. But I think it's a little bit more one sided of a approach that can sometimes be beneficial. But on rugged ground, having a little bit more versatility, I think is a good approach, and this team has that, and it's clearly also a team that I think is not done building, which is also why I think it will start to escalate how well it does. Like
mm,
this is
yeah. I mean, I'm not sure whether they've played the same number of
no.
seasons. So I think Dragon's Bane might have played an extra season. with this roster. I know certainly he's
He's played one
restarted.
season before this, so this is the first season.
Okay, all
So
right. That's
so
interesting
he's
then.
taken a new team and built this in one season actually.
That strikes me then as probably Smoother Karma has lost players along the way.
Yeah.
I would think. Okay, so that's my dark horse and third place
Yes.
in the Colsa Hills. Second is another streamer in the UKBBL, and that's BB Nut and his
Yes.
Nurgle. So it's a bit weird because obviously I've said Nurgle aren't a particularly brilliant race, and they're quite hard to start with. And we had someone win one of them. We had Matt's winning one of the divisions in the 4th tier, and we had BB Nut finishing with a 72% win rate, I think I saw.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you've got to have BB Nut up there. Obviously, played a lot of games, knows exactly what they're doing, and but again, I think we're now approaching the stage where BB Nut's going to have to start doing some randoms on some stuff in order to get some value next season, because remember they're going to be 2 teams old.
Yeah.
So 2 seasons old, so 22 matches old. They're going to be coming up against teams coming down from the Prem who are potentially 60 games old, something like that, 50
Yeah,
games
I
old.
think my team is getting there.
So we're obviously maybe not necessarily looking at the final story. There might be that Pestigore might have star player points spent on it. I don't know. They might have been BB Nut might have been saving for a secondary on that player. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
think it's a stat.
That's taken dodge, but you'd think it's probably a stat. Yeah. So yeah, a nice roster, definitely a nice
Definitely.
roster. So my top one, who I think we're going to be seeing in the Prem for a long time, and that's Blue Lights. So I predicted Blue Lights, I think, to do quite well last season, and I think backed me by doing that. I mean, that's just a beautiful Elven roster. It's just beautiful.
That's a lot of skills for 1400.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
You've got a movement boosted catcher, you've got a block sidestep catcher, you've got a strip ball war dancer, you've got a mighty blow tackle war dancer. This roster is only going to get better.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff you can put on this roster if you wanted to before the season starts.
Yeah.
You could do a couple of randoms and see what you get.
Yeah.
And
Considering this
both
is
war
11
dancers.
matches, this is quite impressive in fairness.
I mean, yeah, when you win 8, and you're probably winning by, sort of you're scoring at least 2 touchdowns, I reckon, probably to win each game.
Yeah, that's
So you're getting at least 10 star player points every game. That's a
yeah.
lot.
Two
So
at average of 2.1 touchdowns per match. That is
yeah,
gonna
so
help.
it's 10. You're getting 10 star player points every game. So that's 110 minimum
Yeah.
across the season. And if you haven't lost any players, and it looks like this roster has been well looked after, at least in terms of the key players.
Yeah, most of it
So yeah,
is built or randoms to the right
interesting
place.
though that catcher's got a single star player point, Benedict Nightmare. So obviously he's done a vanity pass with that player.
That's
I quite like that.
that's impressive.
Cool. Yeah,
Cool.
fab. Okay, so we need the most likely to fuck up my predictions in Colsa Hills,
Yeah.
and that's going to be Gold Stacker because he's playing Chaos Renegade. And you never know what you're going to get from Chaos Renegades. So
Especially not with big guys.
it's one of those rosters. I, I don't think I could ever predict a Chaos Renegade side to win something because they're just so reliant on their big guys behaving.
Yeah.
And there's nothing really you can do apart from just put pro on them. There's nothing you can do about it. If the dice are rubbish, the dice are rubbish, and you're not going to be able to do anything with them. But they could get some decent skills outside of that, and with some bash around, the couple of claws that they've got, that will be quite useful. I think personally, I think 3 claw might be a little bit too much, but you're probably going to be staying away from players. I don't know
I'm
whether
not
that
surprised
renegade.
of the orc with claw.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's the way you want to go. I mean, it might not
It's not,
live
it's
much
fully viable. I'm
longer.
not it's just not my first pick, but it's fully viable. I'm not saying. And then
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
I'm
I personally think the renegade orc is a nice cheap option to get killed by the rogue.
exactly.
To be honest,
In a
but
block
given the fact,
just so they don't get punched too much in the face by other
yeah,
people.
but the fact that Goldstack is not running in a rogue,
Yeah,
means that you can do a little bit more
yeah,
with that orc, and it is going to be more often than not in base contact. So,
yeah,
but I mean, putting claws in it makes every team 8+, right? But
yeah.
as we know, armor 8+ is the best armor in the game. Uh,
Yeah, I'm still
so
worried about having to face that armor again next this week. So yeah.
yeah. Okay, so I think that's everything in that one, isn't it? So we'll go to the center then, which is Farlick
Yes.
Hills. I reckon I'm going to surprise a few people with my ones. This might throw some people. Okay, so let's start with the most likely to fuck up my predictions, and I think this is the one that's going to have everyone going, "Oh my god, how could you say that?" And that's going to be DK Max. So my reasoning for this is nothing to do with the coach. I think the coach is brilliant. You don't again get 24 points in a UKBBL season without being pretty good.
No.
I'm just I don't know. Without talking to Max, it feels like that roster has had some deaths towards the end of the season. I don't know if that's true or not, but the it just feels a little light. Just
It
feels a little light.
it is 100K light.
So I'm trying to be very nice to you, Max, because I do think you're a very good coach. Again, 24 points says that. I just feel like, yeah, it's just missing a few things. Like
So
I would be looking again. It's just how I play. Archangel knows how I play.
oh yeah.
I'm wanting sidestep on both those blodgers in the first couple of games, and then I'm good. Then I'm golden.
Yeah.
I'd be
I think
I'd
if
be
I was a journalist, I would have to have a disclaimer that I might have been talking quite often to Max about his team and team development and so on. So everything I say should probably be taken with a bit grain of salt and clearly biased. Um,
mm,
I still think this is a great start for a team, but yes, it needs more development. But the
mm,
base is there, the coach is there, just needs to grind the wheel of getting how to say the skills in and stuff like that. But the base is
that's why
there.
I've kind of
Yeah,
yeah. That's why I also kind of gave it my wild card because it's again the fact that the roster is not necessarily in a place that I would want it, but if Max can get some levels in the first couple of games and get a couple of wins, then you're then going to start having the tools to really trouble people. Um, so I'm also interested to see how the assassin goes because again I looked through the league and I thought I think there's a case to take an assassin. Definitely, there is definitely a case to take that. It's another movement 7 piece. So even if you just look at it as well, it's you know you're not necessarily going to use the stab. It's a faster piece, so you can use that. I think again, just from my personal view, is if you're going to take a movement 7 piece, I'd rather take the runner
yeah.
because then if or run 2 runners because at least then if one of the runners dies and that was the one that has leader, well, you
I've
go
always
well.
been of
I'll
two
take
minds
him.
about the Dark Elf Assassin. I like the idea. It's thematically correct. I don't think he it's not that he doesn't work. I just never could really make him fit with my play style either. But I've seen a lot of top Dark Elf coaches play with assassins and have success with it. So clearly it's a viable option. I just can't make
Mhm.
it work for me in my play style.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, I've never tried because when I've looked at it, I've kind of gone. It feels like that player's best standing next to someone, and it's got armor 8, which means it's going to probably die quite quickly. And if I'm going to invest the time in it, I don't want. It's like elves, the best players you don't want getting hit because they're more likely to die than anything else because they're just weaker armor. Um,
They're like
it
wood
might be.
elves.
I mean, it might be different if we had something like Blood Bowl 3 had a redraft, like a proper redraft mechanic,
Yeah.
and like if the assassins had a niggling injury, you could have a chance to clear them off. I think I might I might be sitting on a different fence. I might go, oh, actually, okay, you know, there is a place for them. Um, so yeah, I think I went through and it's kind of like there was like a handful of bash, a handful of edge, and then you have the stunty at the bottom. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a very yeah. So I'd say I would not be surprised to see Max in the top 3 at
No.
all at all. Okay, so Dark Horse is going to be after I predicted a consolidation season last time, and they were like, "No, just a consolidation season."
Yeah.
So I'm going to go from Mal, and his Old World Alliance. So again, Old World Alliance I think just need time. 13 points is pretty good on that roster, given that all of the key players have Loner. Um,
Yeah.
apart from, I think I'm not sure if the Blitzer does. No, it doesn't. But you know, if you take any of the dwarves, if the dwarves let you down, you know that's potentially a turn ruining, or a drive ruining action. And actually, it's a pretty nice roster.
It
Quite like
is.
that roster.
It is.
And I looked at it and I thought, do you know what? There's potential here.
Oh,
Definitely potential
sorry.
for
Yeah.
that roster to do something. So yeah, that's kind of why I thought, you know, you've had your season of mid-table obscurity, and consolidation. You've got some toys to play with now. You've got some really nice toys to play with. So you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see Mal do quite well.
No.
Um, okay, let's have a little look then at the top 3.
Yeah.
Um, so was this the one I think where I just went, okay, that was the highest, that was the highest, that was the highest.
It looks
Um,
very close to that.
So I went third was Will and his orcs. Um, Again, just orcs are just a good choice. Will is just a good coach. Um, you know, orcs are always going to be there and there or thereabouts. And again, you just it's a pretty decent roster. But again, like I said, I think this was the first roster I thought about it because I think I did this division first. I opened this roster and went, that's a really nice roster. And I looked, it's 1400. Gonna have to start randoming some stuff then, aren't you?
Yeah, I was
Because
gonna say for
you know, you
1400, this is well, you got the troll on top of that, of course. That also really
yeah,
drives.
I suspect though, Will wants to play that kind of game, and
So if I
I
look at the fact that the areas are goblin too, and it's a goblin who has picked sure feet, yeah, it appears that it is definitely a choice to have the one turn
yeah,
on the table. It's a little bit interesting combination to both have sneaky git and sure feet on the same goblin, but yeah.
I wonder whether it's a case of like, I mean, I suspect the goblin is there as a emergency one turn.
Yeah.
He might develop into a genuine one turner.
Yeah.
Um, I think it depends kind of which way Will wants to go with it. But like, I mean, there's some things obviously you can do with this roster which will, um, you know, free up some space. You could fire the orc lineman, for example. You could cut a reroll that will save you 100k. So you know you can have another 5 skills if you wanted when you got to the cap. But that this will play a part. I mean, we've been mentioning about the fact that, these teams have got to start randoming. This does affect their ability to win games through the course of the season because you're gonna, are you going for a win now with the potential of, okay, I'm trying to get into tier two, I want to get into tier two, um, but I'm going to do it by kind of like doing it properly by like choosing my skills
Yeah.
with the knowledge that I'm going to have to cut stuff, or are you going to try and risk it for a biscuit and maybe not make your team as good this season, but mean that it's potentially in a better place next
But
season because
but
you're
what
able to
also
keep it.
happens is as you move up the ranks, right? Like already here we in Hills, your opponents are going to be a harder match, and hence it's going to be
Mm,
harder for you to fully control. Like you're going to get less and less of those matches where everything is just going your way, where you get to pick where the star player points goes and everything like that. So the more you go into divisions where you will have more and more matches of those where you are just struggling to not just be getting anything to work for you basically, and that
mm,
means also that the development of your players gets harder and harder. So it's
yeah.
like that's also an
So
aspect.
second
Yes.
place, I'll go with. So I think this is the highest predicted coach who finished in the conference last season.
Yes.
That's Brungino and their human roster. I think Brungino played 9 games and got 18, 18 points. So
Yeah.
again, had a pretty solid season. I mean, that's a nice roster.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got everything you probably want on that. You've got your ogre, you've got your catcher that's got 12-star player points. That's probably saving for hopefully an agility boost. I mean, again, there's some things you could do to make this roster a little bit leaner, but this roster feels set up to win now at this TV level. This is set up to win now. 4 rerolls, 13 players.
Yeah.
Um, Very rarely going to be outnumbered, I suspect, if it's well managed. And getting 18 points last season probably is well managed. So I think this was an easy pick for
Yeah.
second. I think there's a very very good coach there. Um, okay, so top for this division um, has to go to one person, and that's the Nurgle Master. And that's Matt's, who I did have a little look, hasn't won. I don't think has won a UKBBL title, but I think possibly should have done so far.
Ah,
Um, so yeah, very 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 good coach. I'd say when I looked at the roster, I went, there's nothing on the roster that kind of sets the world alight. But I'm going to say that this roster probably didn't look awfully different at the beginning of last season, and he still did blooming well with them. So, and there's still space for growth in this roster. There's another 70K's worth of growth that you could do.
yeah.
Um, it's 13 players, so you could cut a couple of rot alignment, which would give you another 70K. So that I'd say there's plenty of room in this roster to grow. And I like the fact that the rot spawns he's saved up and he's got on block and he's kind of put the time in. Obviously, you've got to be lucky there because I've had big guys that have played 11 games and not got 6-star player points.
Yeah.
Whereas this one seems to have managed to get 18 by the look of it. Um, so yeah, I mean it's a good start to that roster. I think that one's probably more based on my knowledge of the coach and the fact that they've always been in the. That is a very very nice skin on that bloater. Let's see
Yeah.
those moths fly away again. That's quite cool. Which one was that?
That's that one.
Is that a legendary? Yeah, is that a legendary skin or something like that?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, we should all get one of those. Right. So there we go. I think that I'm done. That's it. You don't have to listen to me anymore. Well, I will still give my opinion, but you don't have to
Yeah. So the next one
to
is mine. So we move
which
another
which he
team.
did. which he did 10 minutes before we came on, folks.
Don't give away the secret to the sauce. I was going to say here.
I did mine 4 days before, and I spent like 2 hours doing mine.
Yeah, but
Is there any reason why mine are good?
so I'm not saying that it's purely because I only got access to the data like 5 minutes before we started or something like that, and I was sitting like two. I'm the reason why we got delayed. I will, and it was to get the spreadsheet and everything to working, so that's why we were a little bit delayed. I'm sorry for that. So yes, I haven't had that much time to look at the prediction itself, but at least we are also getting to some coaches where I have had the pleasure of playing against quite a few of them, so that gives me some insight, and the mere fact that we also have the data to pull on. Also, I think what also is very interesting is as we move up, like so the tiers here is what also happens is that there's no one up here who hasn't played already 2 seasons. So these teams are getting to be seasoned teams. They're not like should hopefully be somewhat done with the building phase and being more stable. They're still, I think we also talked about this, Phil. Like last time, they're still like, is this one of the seasons where you're going to try to go for a win, or is this a recovering sort of season or stuff like that? So again, there's still like I say details in the pudding, of course, and it's hard to know without reading. So
Just
purely,
please tell me that you've put Mathemus in the top three, because we'll never hear the end of it if you don't.
so I deliberately choose not to do that, and
Oh, good.
purely for that reason, I have chosen
That
him
will
to be
please
my
them.
wild card. We can start with that prediction just to make sure that it's really really clear. So purely for that decision, I think if it hasn't been, I would have probably put him in my top two. But purely for that reason, I decided that he would be my wild card. Also, not to put too much pressure on him. Sorry, her. But yeah, that is definitely something I will be looking forward to see how that goes. But I have high hopes. That's definitely
Oh,
the
you did actually have a good point. 3-Eared Bear has said there's one team that has actually had only one season in this, and
is
that's
there.
the Wood Elves.
Oh my
Yeah, so
god,
Durfall
yes.
15 is the team that's only had one season in. However,
They got 28 points.
one, I think, like, what is that, 9 games? Drew one and lost one. And the
Yeah,
one game they lost was they were on holiday.
yeah. I
So
I
they didn't lose the game.
I think to do so, you need to be a really, 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 really good coach. And I
Oh,
think
yes.
once that team gets another season, they will be a strong contender. I have no doubt about that. But I think they will struggle with uh, the discrepancy
Skills.
in sort of
Yeah.
say team strength at that point. Also because we're also getting now to the point where the players who have gotten into Oldorf League sort of tier, they haven't gotten there by luck either. So we're now being a good coach is sort of a minimum requirement here to be even on this list, right?
Or I'm just giggling at Mathemus's comment.
Yeah. So um, we might as well also take the thing that I think Blicky's orcs I think is definitely also like I think just purely also because let's have a look at the team because I think that's only fair. Um, Altdorf East we started with right here rankings Mathemus. So again also in might have given a fifth or two. So funny enough, I think this is a really well developed human team. Funny enough, I don't know why. Might be because I've been offering suggestions to it, but I think like you said, like again, we're looking at 1400, and if you compared them to some of the lower human tiers that was also 1400, there's more bang for your buck, so to speak. I think you get here. Like this is a perfect catcher. Like we need to get a new thrower here, I think, but the rest of the team is pretty well developed, right? So
I wonder what that thrower is actually saving for. So,
I can't
with 11
remember,
star
but
player
probably
points.
stat.
Possibly.
Yeah, like a human throw with a pass upgrade is pass. Yeah, is those what to hope for. Those They're scary throwers then. Yes. Splicky in his terrible orcs, I was just about to call him. I think he's the most reasonable, I think, choice to go someone who's gonna do
It's
it.
all up for you.
Yeah. Talking about again the path thrower, right? Like Cloudbuster. Oh my god, I love this thrower. This is it just needs to cannoneer and then he's there. Wallace. Perfect.
So Cloudburst is the one where you can't get intercept. Is that you can't get intercepted?
You have to re-roll it. So basically, if they get the 6, they have to roll a 6 again afterwards for long passes and long bumps, which he will, with the cannoneer, be able to throw on a 3+ with a reroll.
That's a very nice thrower.
Yeah, that's a
Really,
nice.
really, what you want is your agility boosted blitzer on his roster, and he's golden.
Especially also because, like, for this cost, I think you get a lot of. So.
It's just my only concern on a roster like this with a thrower as 2+ is great. Yes, you did miss your team, BB.
Yeah.
Yeah. I predicted you second. You did. So, yeah, the thrower. So it can throw. That's great, and I know it's a 1 in 9 that the blitzer or whoever's going to try and catch it will catch it.
Yeah.
I've just seen too many 2s to 1s or 1s to 2s or 2s to 2s or 1s to 1s.
So here's the thing, and this goes a little bit beyond the roses and everything else. But having been playing a lot of elves, I fully agree with you. I as an elf coach, you think in 2+ and live and die by that, and I hate those snake eyes. But because it's so rare, you more or less assume that it's not happening. And when you go to 1 in 9s, you go like, that's unacceptable. And then you talk to a human coach, and they are like, but that's the norm. And and it takes a different mindset. And I'm struggled with it. I will be perfectly honest. Like I still have problems sometimes with my orcs in there 1s and 9s, but it's a mindset thing I find.
Yeah, see, this is why I'm broadening my horizons
Yeah.
and starting to play some hybrid
Yeah.
teams because I just think like if you get stuck into a particular way of playing, it's kind of you also need to know your enemy sort of thing. I think this is why when we start to getting to the top end of the Prem,
Yeah.
when we start talking about those coaches, I think we'll kind of go. The reason why they're that good is because they understand every side. They know how they play. They know their weaknesses, and they know how to exploit them.
I think exactly
Ross does it.
that's very much the truth, and I think for take a funny example. So I'm considered a heretic by both sides because I play dwarves from time to time, which makes me a heretic by some people, and then I play dwarves that dodge, and so all the dwarf coaches think I'm a heretic too. So, but then again, 4+, you need to do that sometimes, and if you're not doing it at any point, you're also not doing it right, and it is that balancing act. And yes, 4+ with a reroll is 75%, and you will cry in 1 in 4, which is an elven coach would be considered unacceptable, right? Like I would never do as an elven coach anything on a 1 in 4, right?
Leaps into cages, I would.
Yeah, the exception
So
exists, but yes,
yeah,
but it gets so. Though they had a fairly rough season last season, I still think Scouse Boy is carries a quick potential to make it
tore me
back.
apart last season.
Sorry.
That his lizards tore me apart last season.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even close. His
Yeah.
lizards demolished me. It was
Um,
embarrassingly one-sided.
and again, talking about like what do you get for 1400 as a Lizardman player? I think this is a really nice roster to have. I
I
wouldn't
think this
like to.
shows the difference between a side that has played. How many games has this one played? It's
Oh,
probably
let's
going to be
see,
something like
30. Yeah,
33.
33 seasons. Yeah.
You probably see on the history how many or stats. Yeah, so 33 has played three seasons.
Yeah.
So that's 33 games where the Saurus have had the opportunity to get those 2-star player points.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm not surprised by the fact that you're saying that this roster should do well because it's got two really good Saurus,
Yeah.
two reliable Saurus, and then two babies.
Yeah.
Um,
But
yeah,
also like even these two, like there's two naked ones, and then there's two that is now functional, and then there's two that is like done, right? Like, so that's a good spot to be in, especially like with the cap that is so low, right? And you need to really consider what it is that you're wanting to keep. But yeah,
it almost feels like with lizard men, you want to get block on them, you want to do one or two seriously,
yeah,
and then you want to start randoming, and then
yeah,
you want to go. So when I get rid of my serious one that I've built properly,
yeah,
it's because I've randomed on one, and
yeah.
I've got a couple of really good cheap ones
It's
that will
basically also what
save
I've done
them
on
up.
my big guns is exactly the same concept. Like you build one or two that is actually functional, and then you start experimenting on the next. And once they get to be ready to sort of take over, you kick the other ones if they haven't, of natural causes, departed before then, right? So it's that sort of cycle you get into, and then it's
Yeah.
more cultivating the right skills at the right time and being ahead of that curve. And that's why I had a terrible match last season that basically ruined my whole development. So I'm not predicting a good season coming because I got a little bit quickly rid of some players that I needed for this coming season. But that's a separate story. But yes, and let's see. I have a
I
list
think we're
here.
down to third, aren't we?
We are down to second. I
Oh,
started from the
second.
back. So simply is
Yeah.
probably someone's name who has been mentioned fair few times, and necromantic being necromantic is always a good safe bet. Um, but if you also look at this roster again, like talking about like what do you get for 1400, and especially some of the other necro teams that we talked about, like having this sneaky get dirty player, having the mighty blows, having the tactical tackles, and the guards, like I would almost say, like, if you gave me 1400 to build a necromantic team and I get to pick the skills and put them anywhere I wanted, I don't think I could put them much better than this.
Well, I can think of a certain ghoul runner on a certain friend's side that might
That's cheating.
disagree.
I'm
But
not, we're not mentioning names
um,
here, but someone is cheating with that sort of stuff. That's not fair.
yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so glad to see this team start with tackle
Yeah,
because I think you're right. I think the fact that last season they didn't have any tackle
yeah,
and this season they start with it,
yeah,
I think justifiably means that they move from dark horse to seriously in contention
yeah,
because it's just a really good team. It's a
it
really good
is.
team.
So that leaves with my first pick, which is Alexandra. Alex. So
Ooh, this
yeah.
wasn't where I thought you were going to go.
No.
This
I
is not
then
where I
just
thought
ask
you were going to
who
go.
would you have been your pick?
Mine would have been Tector.
I was close. I was close.
To be honest, I would have put Durfel as well in the mix,
Yeah.
just because I rate him very highly.
So
But
so so we go back to what we also mentioned earlier. It's like I can I pick 50% of this list and just put them in as my number one? No, I can't.
everybody's
Uh,
going to win. Everyone's going to be a winner.
so one of the reasons for this is I think with this kind of teams here that you
Oh
have,
my god!
you need the claws. There's gonna be a lot of bashing in this season in Old
Yeah,
of East, right?
This feels quite. Yeah.
Yeah,
What is there? One, two. There's two Edge teams.
yeah, free.
There's one, two. There's two what I consider uh,
Hybrid.
hybrids in the human and the Skaven,
Yeah,
and then the Imperial nobility as well, and then everything else is bash. So you got seven.
yeah,
Was it 7-3-2? So yeah, very bash heavy.
yeah. So I think the claws, the potential of claws, the those three strong, like you saw also the same from Ceremol, right? Like the strength of having that many big guys on the field is a huge thing, right? Especially if you know how to manage them. and I think the potential is there. And of course, also those dark elves have a tendency to be a problem for many teams to basically be to do anything about them, and this one is definitely getting up there.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know Alex spoke about he wanted to run just two big guys. The fact that I think in the first season he kind of went, no, the third big guy is costing me more than what I'm actually having. And I actually think you get a bit more on this roster given the fact that you're able to have mutations. So you can have a bit more variety even on the linemen.
So
So
I would, for having to cut down to 1400, I would definitely cut the third big guy, and then I would buy a troll as quickly as I could. For
mm,
115 to just have a big roadblock, so these two other guys have something sort of to say hide behind. I think it's definitely the sort of approach. But you could do the same with the ogre. I can see we kept the
yeah,
troll here. But the idea is basically the same. Um, Again, we're talking about like the like the sort of thing with the Saurus or the big guns and stuff like that. It's the rotation thing, right? You have some that are developed, and then you have the new rookie coming in, and hopefully he can sort of take over because eventually they will fade out, right? For one reason or another. Uh, yeah.
yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting. I'll be interested to see how how it goes. But I think again, like I think Alex's team will be again. If you look on the stats, I think this is a, a season one Blood Bowl 3 team. So I think it's going to have played like 50 games. I
72
suspect.
matches.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And this is also one of those things where like having a win rate of 72% is almost 73%. That's
I'm
impressive.
amazed Alex didn't make it back into.
Like
I
like
don't think he had. I don't. I think his season kind of fell apart a couple of points.
yeah.
But I'm amazed he's not in the Prem.
And I think he might also like I had a rough start when I started off with my team, and what it's usually also like I would imagine Chaos Renegades is also one of those starts. It's one of those teams. It doesn't start usually, let's say, in a prem condition, so it needs quite a few matches to build there, and that generates a few losses to begin with. I think I had a win rate about like 40% or 50 like after the first season.
Mm.
So having to recover that to get up to this kind of number, that means that you've been winning a lot of matches since. A
Yeah,
lot of matches since. That's the only way that works. Right. So that is quite impressive, right? Yeah, especially like
100%.
BB Nuts has a win rate of 73% on a Renegade team is really impressive because they're not
With
known
two
for their
big guys,
stability.
yeah, with two big guys, I think for most of the seasons.
Yeah. So we come to West, and as we all know, West is best, especially when no Easters are here. Um, I must admit I haven't had much look at this as I would have liked to. So this is will be on the fly, I think, and in a poor attempt at seeing it to if I can improve performance from last season. I think. Oh my god! So basically we get the brackets here, moving up, guys. Orcs moving up. Lucky Star, 25 points. That's fucking impressive. Definitely gonna be a contender. These two, definitely.
While Archangel's just having a bit of a think on this one, I'll just remind you on the UKBBL's general chat there is a few polls which are open. The who will be top three in Prem East Part One, and then that's in two parts. So there's 10 options in the first part for Prem East, and then there's a further 2 options in Part Two, and then you've got the 6 options, the first 6 for Prem West, and the second 6 for Prem West. There's a few comments that are kind of above that or below that now, so just scroll up, but I have pinned them. So you can have a little bit of a think and vote for 3. Remember, it's just 3 across both the parts, so don't vote for 3 in one and 3 in another. So it'll just be interesting to share those results later on. So looks like we might have sorted things out.
I have a bit, and I think I think from the horrendous predictions of last season's, it can only go upwards. I'm a little bit about doubt how much of this will be an improvement from last time, but let's see.
I
So
think this one's going to be tight.
yeah,
This one's going to be very tight.
I
You
think
have not
you're
been. You have not got an easy job
no.
to predict this one. I think you've probably got, based on last season, by the look of it, you put Loki Star third. I probably would have gone and put Loki Star first. Although I think Loki Star's away for the first match, so I think might be might not get their first game in, which will be
No.
disappointing for them.
So I think
But
my thinking is that this is a fairly like agile more than most, right? There's a lot of speed. There's a lot of so I think the orcs will probably struggle a little bit more than the others, and that's also
mm,
why I did a bit of rotation on moving a few of them around from what, and that's also why like these two I think is the two that I can most likely will wreck my predictions technically. Um, because if I look at those who are moving down, Wood Elves, Elven Union moving down, if they are on the right curve, so to speak, they will come back, and that's why I put them as my wild card at the end. This must also be a fairly seasoned team to have been up to Prem and back down, so we were probably looking at least 4 seasons for this team, right? So that's sort of a wild card. These are teams that should be doing pretty okay. They've been in Aldorf already from last season. So the reason why it would have made sense to more pick someone like Waldorf, but I'm purely not going that way purely on the basis that if I look at the other teams, I think All World Alliance will have a struggle. They will not really be able to outbash the orcs, and they will not be able to speed compete with those that are out there. They would have been better with no mobility, more necro teams or stuff like that. That would have been a better suit for
they
them.
do get Cindy though. They do get Cindy.
I let's not start the whole bomber discussion. I am not that impressed with bombers and fear them not nearly as much as other people. So go for it if you want to and see what happens. And they will work out sometimes, and sometimes they will not. And
I think
so
only
my
two
predictions up
teams.
here is actually less about the players and more about the races and their positioning from last season more than it is the players. Like all these players are, they're not, they wouldn't be here if they are not good players. So they're purely here because they're good players. So I think it becomes less about that and more about what are they playing, where are they in their cycle of their team and stuff like that. Um, so from that point of view, this would probably be where my prediction. Like these are the teams that are coming in. They would be probably 2 seasons old, going to the third. They done really well and really well last season, so clearly they're contenders. But I also think they're coming up against more mature teams. Um,
Mm, I get that.
and the wild
I
card,
think
like I said,
Foster's.
where they're in the cycle, and
I
Foster is
think
also good
Foster's
coach.
is the only one I think that from there can be considered unlucky to not be predicted top three if you were to
I've
get upset by those things. But
so
as no
without even
disrespect,
having looking at the teams, we'll go and have a look in a second. But I think my concern is more exactly where are we on the rebuilding cycle. Like he most likely been in Prem last season and had some losses, which usually also means less gold, which means less injuries, which means a more beaten up team. And that also means that when you go down, then yes, you get to start to rebuild your team. But it also means you have a little bit of, let's say, something to catch up to. As these two teams, for example, the Orcs, are probably going into this season fully built and fully ready to deal out some injuries, right? And so it's more, and that's why I ended up putting him as the wild card because if he can manage to stabilize his team and get it functioning quickly, I think he will be top 2 contenders. If he takes a little bit more time to rebuild his team and only get this to sort of functional by mid-season or late season, then it's not enough time to get the points that you need to get to top 2. That's my sort of like why it's a wild card sort of thing.
I'll just answer because Blitzy's come on. So the Matthemism Award is the most likely to fuck up the predictions. So so
Yes,
I think yeah, lovingly named after Matthemus who did that last season, and because
yes,
you're playing Nurgle,
yes,
um, so yeah, I think very 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 appropriate. But you took that one for that one.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought you'd love it. To be honest, I thought who could I give that award to in that division? It had to be you. Um, okay. Yeah, I think you're probably right on Foster's. I think though he's come down before and done reasonably well. So
No,
um,
he will surely be up. But and it I now I'm actually seeing the team here. I don't. I think I might have to say that wild card. I think I might have to change that.
that might have to be a not so wild card.
Yeah, I think. Oh God, I'll have to change. Let's see.
Yeah, so the W's stand for the wild card, so the dark horse, so kind of who are we most like, who's possibly going to finish fourth but might finish outside. The X's, as we've just discussed, the Matthemus Award or the most likely to fuck up our predictions. Um,
Can I give them one
so
all of them? No.
um, uh, Cornite, you need to beat Archangel on Thursday before we take your advice. Yeah,
uh,
that's that's going to be my rule now.
yeah,
You've got to beat that. You've got to beat that horrible orc side in
yeah.
order to.
But Phil's Bane is dead, so he should have an easy time.
So he should be
Yeah.
and stay that way.
Yes.
Cool. Should we move on to because we are pushed on time.
Yeah.
Should we have a little look at the prems?
Talking a core
So
night, perfect timing.
yeah. So we obviously the before we kind of go into this division, we obviously have a caveat here in the fact that we don't actually know what Core Knight and Archangel's rosters look like because they haven't played their final game for last season, which means it might look totally different. So I think when Evie has done this, and he's only here because some lovely people damaged the internet um, around where he is. So I think possibly Archangel and Corn Knight have not been considered.
I seem to have recalled from his text that he was not aware that these my team and Cornite team were missing from the list when he was looking in the game. So I don't think we have been considered, which I think when I look at the predictions sort of makes sense. I think at least for his predictions of Prem East, I think Cornite would probably have been on his list.
Mm. Oh, I didn't realize that 12-year-old. Okay, that's pretty horrible. That's probably why you should listen to the sign that says
Yeah.
danger. Please do not play with this. That are on all the boxes on the electric wires. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
At least that's good. They won't
Good.
do that again. Um, should we start with the West because West is best, and I also think this is probably the easiest division to pick.
If you think so, I will let you present the findings. I will put them in here.
Well, I can see very very likely who has been put, and I would have exactly the same people that you have. So Andy Davo returns. We're actually the only league that he's playing in. He's not playing in any other league at the moment. So um, fair play, Andy. Um, and a really good example of the facts that, as I was talking about earlier, good coaches know every race and know how to beat them. And that is why Andy Davo is a good coach. Because he knows every race. Not surprised Hillenick is on there.
Yeah.
I wonder whether we can have a look at Hillenick's roster because again, I know we
Yeah.
looked at it before the semi-final,
Oh, I would actually
but
also have a look. I haven't looked at.
love to see. I'd love to see what actually made it through Caps because
Might also
His
I will have to have a look at Davo's team also, just purely from, let's call it, personal
yeah. So
interest.
this should be the team that I
Yeah.
think everybody's pretty certain will win it. He's going no re-rolls though.
Yeah, just so seeing that, I think
I mean that's a
I still think the predictions hold. I think this is risky. I would probably have picked one. Yeah, even with the leader, I would
oh, he
probably
does
have
want
kept
to be.
one and saved a little bit on the skills.
I'm going to struggle. Well, I know that all the agility race teams they're going to struggle to break through this roster.
Yeah,
I'm just because I think I played him second season. When I played him second season, I just got obliterated because I just couldn't find a gap.
yeah.
You can't break your way through that kind of muscle.
No, like Hillig
Unfortunately.
did sort of the same thing last season, and I think for better and worse, you sort of also, but you run into the problem. Like if one of these, for whatever bad luck, goes down on the first turn, like even the armor
Yeah,
broken one on the first turn, right? Like then you're 10, like, and then it cascades. But you can also, like, you always have to take a risk when you go down to 1400. Like you opted for no airpock, like, so there's a cost to doing the cutting down, right? This, like Henrik, he got away with it. I was more or less gonna say like last season, so it can clearly be done, and I think also Dave was good chance that he will do that. But I'm just saying, like, there is an inherent risk in doing this, but there's also a reward, and I think this is justified.
yeah.
But I just saying,
I
like,
mean,
this can snowball, but in a bad way.
it's outside of the realms of this video, and
Yeah,
I
fully
don't
agree.
want to go into this bit, but this massively depends on who you play and in what order.
Fully agree.
Um, so if you get any of the high guard sides, David might have a problem in the first couple of games.
And like, I
Um,
haven't seen the matchups for the round front, but like, I don't think he would like to run into Fantas, for example. That would
yeah,
be or Sir or
I think he'd
something like
probably want to run into me, or he'd want to run into
that. Helnick,
um, yeah, probably a couple of the Skaven ones. I don't think he'd mind.
he cut the Rat
Going.
Ogre, so yeah.
Well, you had to cut something good, and you were never going to cut those two gutter runners ever.
Mm, I might have cut one
They're
of
just,
them.
I just think they're so good,
They are,
so good.
but
I think
well, yeah, no, no,
the
no.
third
He lost his
side.
third. That's why he lost the third in the semifinal. That's why.
Hmm,
Oh, Mathmas, Andy's versus Simo, so that's getting well. So that's gonna be, yeah, that's gonna be to his liking.
they can leap though, so
Yeah,
it's not. He's going to have if the ball goes deep, that'll be a problem.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I say I just Kinnick just continues to grind out results.
So
Win.
I had Hellnick and Cornite as winner for last season, and so when they played in the semifinal, I was like, yeah, I've both won and lost.
Mm,
And I
yeah,
think there's a good chance that Hellnick will at least make it to top two, and I think I fully agree with that prediction. Um, so, but yeah.
yeah.
So
There's
the only,
there's
like, just like I would have predicted exactly the same. The only thing that I would have swapped is I would have taken Sir as my guy to fuck it up, and having a Fantas as my wild card. But that's the only thing. Other than that, I
so
would have kept the same list.
we haven't had a look at tapestries, and I think it is just for the viewership
Yeah,
having a little look at what I'm assuming is going to be a 72 game um, Lizardmen side
61,
of
but
side.
close. Yeah,
Like that is
that is
a
good.
very very nice roster,
Just the mere fact
and
that you
that's
have a defensive, right?
just so nice.
6 blocks, 5 guards. Jesus. Mm.
Like that's a proper Lizardmen roster.
Yeah,
And what you'll do is you'll save up very quickly. You'll get that Crocs,
yeah.
and there's a load of star player points sitting there.
Oh yeah.
That's very nice as well.
But no
So
APUC. But yeah, I think that I preferred this
interesting. I've
approach.
made the same choice. I made the same choice. I
Yeah,
took my
I
out.
I have the luxury of not having had to have that headache yet. But other than that, I'm gonna have to do exactly the same. And let me put it this way: I'm just not risk willing enough to fire my APOC, but I have considered zero rerolls also.
So the reason why I think the getting rid of the apothecary is actually the better choice is it's 50k, and the likelihood is you'll get 50k from your first game because the Prem rosters tend to have an inflated dedicated coaches anyway.
Yeah,
They tend to all have, sort of 5, 6, or 7.
yeah,
So even if you don't score, you're likely to get 50k.
yeah.
Also, the apothecary is not a guaranteed heal, and
No,
it's also not going to help you if 2 of your players die.
no.
So it's a one-time insurance policy, which is why actually this season it was quite easy to cut it. So yeah, that's kind of
And it also,
what I
but
thought.
it
So this
also a
was
question like we talked about so many times before, like the play style. What's your preference? Like, would you rather do one thing or another? And I think that comes down more to personal preferences than there's a golden standard. This is the correct answer, sort of
yeah, I
thing.
think this. I just found. I personally just found 4 dark elves that I struggled not having 12 players, and I struggled not having 3 rerolls.
Yeah,
And um, you needed those. I mean, this is mine. I've got a couple of things to put on this roster because I've got enough to put the blitzer on dodge, but um, the fact that I've kept my 3 rerolls opens up the fact I can use the witch
yeah.
on a leap, so I have that option. Whereas in the first few games, I couldn't because I needed the rerolls to do something else. It was too high risk to burn a reroll on that on that player.
If you had a leader, you could have cut a reroll, but without a leader, you can't.
Yeah, and the problem is that they're so expensive. The only reason I've got the witch elf is because the diving tackle blodge step blitzer was busted, so I got rid of it. Um, so is this our darling roster? Oh no, this is Fantasys.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like Fantasys. I just like Fantas as a coach, and I think he's another one that can consider himself unlucky not to have won a UKBBL title up to this point.
yeah,
Um, and I think had we have had some kind of cap or some kind of redraft in Blood Bowl 2, I think he probably would have found Fantas would have already been in the Hall of Fame. I
yeah,
think that's a very, 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 very good coach there.
yeah. And that's
Um,
also why I would have preferred him as the wild card more than as the record. But
yeah.
it's a minute detail and difference, I would also admit. So I don't
Yeah.
think it's really that important. Then
So
we should probably take a look at East.
yeah, let's have a look at East. So I think of all of the I think I said it last season. I think Colsa Hills I thought was the going to be the closest. I think this one's going to be really really tight,
Yeah,
really really tight. And so this probably is a good opportunity to remind you how relegations work because BB Nut asked this question a while ago. So promotions and relegations. Waldorf did post in the commissioner's channel, the commissioner's announcements, how those things work. But it's usually 3 down, 3 up. We've got that is the case for every division apart from in the hills, where we're only guaranteeing that 2 go up, and that will be the top 2. So we try and do 3 up, 3 down. So basically, you've always got half of the league changing. But obviously, with the fact that because Blood Bowl 3, and I was talking with Tector about this in the hill, one of the hills chats, because you have a new race released every season, essentially, we have a high number of twisting coaches. So you'll tend to find our predictions for the forests and the woods. It doesn't really matter what's going to happen in those divisions. Probably all of those teams are going to get promoted. It's just kind of like, it's almost like conference rather than like a true sort of promotion and relegation. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't the case that all of those were promoted that stick next season. Whereas
Which, yeah.
when you start to get towards the top, because Twisters have a skewed impact on where what happens in terms of promotions. It's the Prems where promotions and relegations, and even Altdorf's is where that really makes a difference. So yeah, it's bottom three that will get relegated from the top. Top two will go through to the playoffs. So yeah, unfortunately, no, Max. I don't get to give you any bonus points. I will though give you a round of applause at the end of the season, live on stream, when you do mess up my predictions. Then you've got that recorded, and that will probably be posted to YouTube. So you've got that as evidence. Okay, Prem East, let's go for it.
Yeah. So this is the predictions where I think Cornite is really missing from the predictions, but that is at least my take. These are EV's predictions. I other than the Cornite is more or less missing. I mean, think from this list, I think I agree. That is
I
at least.
mean, pick 3 of the 12, and I think you could be right. It's just so tight. I will though say it's probably not on the stream, but I'm so pleased Razor Moose is going to be playing in the Prem
Yeah.
because he's really worked hard. I think he joined sort of a season after me, Black in Blood Bowl 2, and I think he was new to the game then.
Yeah.
And again, it's just nice to see another coach that's kind of stuck with it and gone through the aches and pains of, being honest, not being particularly good at the game because you're new to it,
Yeah.
and then get to a stage where actually you're starting to you understand the core concepts of the game, and you're going to be playing against some of the best coaches that we have in the league. Because again, all the coaches in this top 2 leagues, apart from maybe a particular Dark Elf coach, are like really good. So I'm personally pleased for him.
Yeah.
So
I think this is one of those like personal stories where like in all fairness, I've been playing Blood Bowl for 20 plus years. The fact that I have become good enough that I can make it into Prem is maybe not, how to say, surprising to the same extent as someone who's very new to it and has made that, like you say, like that journey in such a short time. That's really impressive.
yeah, I think he started playing about season 42, so it
Yeah.
would have probably been playing at least Blood Bowl with us for 3 years. I
Yeah.
think he was fairly new to the game then, but I'm pleased for him. I'll tell you what, Evie loves a Black Orc team, doesn't he? He loves them.
He has a bit of a thing for them.
Which can we see this one? Let's
Yes.
see how good this one is, because like, and I looked at this. I looked last time and I thought, that's interesting.
Well, at
It's not
least
a bad
I,
roster.
I would I would
I just
say
think
he
that's
hasn't put them
quality.
as winner this time, the Black Orcs.
He has not. But I also know again, RTSD is a really good coach,
And
and
again,
that's
like talking
actually
about like that thing about development, right? Like you can almost like if you more or less go through all the prep teams, it's like you look at them, you open them up, and you go like, yeah, I don't want to play that team. I don't,
yeah,
whether it be wood elves or orcs or whatever. It's like, yeah, I actually don't want to play against that thing there. That's please disappear, right? That's basically and that tells you, I think, at a gut level, at what level these teams are at. Like these
yeah.
are like primed and cut to precision, right?
Do you know what? That's why I just find myself delighted every season to be playing in the Prem, because
Yeah,
I'm like, I've managed to secure enough points against these guys that I get to play them all again.
yeah,
And I do think that's there's something to be had about the fact of you need to be playing against the best coaches to take your game not from a a decent level, but to a top end level. Like the amount of stuff I've learned, because I know he's here. The amount of stuff I've learned from playing against Corn Knight.
Yeah.
I've probably learned more playing against Corn Knight than playing against any other coach, mainly because he's quite helpful. But all right, I'm done now with
No,
with praising.
I think
So
exactly that sort of situation, and it's like I also played other games and stuff like that, and usually what I try to do is always play against people who are slightly better than me, because you learn so much more from losing or drawing than you do from a win,
yeah,
and having you need to also have the mental fortitude to being willing to keep putting your hand into the grinder and lose again, and it has to be not so disheartening that you lose the will to try it again. But if you can find somewhere where it's like, if I just did a little bit better, I can get it next time. And you get that motivation to keep hunting that slight small improvement all the time. That's the sweet spot for learning. That's maybe also the teacher and me saying that, but that's a slightly different story, right? But I think I definitely agree with that thing. Like I've learned so much more from the matches that I lost than all the matches that I won. So
and I say again, I've played some games against Tapestry, and again, I learned a lot from those ones.
yeah,
Playing Zons against Lizardmen is not a particularly pleasant experience. I
no.
did learn something every time, and I got closer every time. I said I beat, but oh god, do we have to look at that thing?
I
Do you
think
know?
we should do a collective vote and say he's shift off the island. That player.
So just the thing is, like, I do worry because, like, as soon as that player dies, I hope Galencio does not twist and go to something else, because his team is that player and his defensive mummy. That
Yeah,
is his team.
well, so if
Oh,
I look at
I'm
this team,
sorry, and the star zombie.
yeah,
Like
because
that zombie special. I love that
that's
zombie.
that zombie, that ghoul is actually not that bad either. So it's like it's a team that's really, there is those who are the stars, there's a superstar, and then there's a supporting cast.
Yeah,
Clearly, like that's and
the
I think when you get to Prem, that's more or less what you need to do.
the extras that will die within the first 3 minutes of them being on screen.
I'm not an expert on Trek, but I seem to remember there's a term called red shirts.
Oh yeah, if you
Yes.
played the game, what's it called, Smash Up? There's an expansion where you can basically, they do a Star Trek expansion, and they have red shirt ones which kind of are jumping in front of uh, what's his name, the original series captain. I can't remember.
Kirk.
That is a good question, Max. When are we doing the FA Cup draw?
We are. The idea is I would do a slight plug-in at the end of this cast for today for final sign up. We are closing. And I have both a good and a terrible news in the same time. We are actually down to there's only 16 tickets left. There, we have
Better
the
get them quick.
highest recorded ever participation in the FA Cup, and so we are actually starting to run out of tickets.
Mm,
But we'll
that's
go
really
into
good.
that one. And once I'll give it probably a day or something from today, and then we'll coordinate me and Phil and find a time where we can actually do the draw.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yes.
Um, cool. So, should we see the results of the
I want to show something slightly before.
Okay, I'm gonna check, and I'm just gonna
You're going to check
see.
on that in the meantime, and I'm just going to say, so the data scientist in me loves data, so I, of course, have to do this. And this is, of course, not foolproof data in the sense that there is teams that are not registered with data and stuff like that. So, but from the data here, at least presented, this is the findings. So the thing that I find sort of interesting, it's not really surprising, is that there is most orcs. We could basically make it a division of pure orcs, and there will still be some to spare. Um, I am happy to see that last season we had a lot of halflings and no goblins. That we have gotten some goblins. I don't think this number is correct though. I think I've seen some more than that, but I still think halflings is slow, which is understandable. But I think it's actually sort of interesting that there is a lot of these more, let's say, speed teams, and Bill, I think you said a few seasons back that we more or less had no chaos chosen teams, and they seem to have made a reappearance, so to speak, at least quite a
Yeah,
heavy
I,
one.
I think they're viable. I just think you have to put the time into them.
Oh yeah,
They're just they need some, some love and care. That's what Chaos need. They are a third or fourth season team.
yeah,
I think I found that out when we were playing the Challenge Cup in
yeah,
between the days of Blood Bowl 2 and Blood Bowl 3.
yeah.
But
Fully agree. And
I mean, Orcs are still like a really solid um, choice. I think it's important to consider. I think 5 of those Orc teams currently sit in the Prem, and the Necro teams have yet to find their way up to the Prem.
yeah,
So I would not be surprised to see Orc numbers drop.
I'm inclined to slightly agree and disagree. I think we'll see them disappear from prep, but I don't think we'll see them disappear in the numbers because it's just the staple choice. It like in the old days, people would go for dwarves because they were reliable, stable. They had block on all players. Then they become like the social pariah, and now no one wants to play dwarves, and they have sort of shifted towards orcs. And humans should be the equivalent of orcs, more or less, right? But there's just not the same um, movement towards them.
Mm.
So I think
Almost right as well. The cap is good for Orcs, and
yes,
if you have built your team well, then Orcs do well. The one
I
thing I
would I
would push
would
back
I would
though
almost
is
then make the counter argument. I would rather see what TV would you suggest that orcs are not good at. That's
and
sort of the problem with
that's very
orcs.
true. I mean, I was just going to say, there's a lot of them playing in there, but
Yeah.
how many Orcs have won a Blood Bowl 3 title? Um,
And that's
you know,
also why, like I said, I think with especially when I'm actually coming up into Prem from next season, right? I think orcs will more or less disappear from the top ranks and more be a lower tier.
Orcs suck at 300 TP. Yeah, they
Yeah,
probably do.
I'm just
Well,
thinking
yeah,
of
that's
is
not true.
there's
You
actually
basically
no
can't
legal
cover
team. Well, Snorlax might be able to make a legal team at 300 TV.
You just cut everybody apart from 6 linemen
Yeah,
and then play with no Apo and no rerolls. I mean, you're basically playing with Varag and you know
yeah.
stuff that you just need to spend your
But
money on.
you
But
you can always just also take it like this is also be one of my arguments to why orcs are so good. At most like if you think of an orc lineman, right, 50k, there's no team that wouldn't like that positional on their team,
mm,
and orcs don't really like them because they have better options. So I think that is also a part of the story. But it's also hard to make a orc team with 11 line orcs and expect to win. So there's maybe also some truth in that.
I also find it interesting that Elven Union were seem to be reasonably popular. There seemed to be a fair number of Elven Union sides. It seemed to be that they were a lot kicking around, and they just seem to have
Yeah,
disappeared.
I think that we had a lot more Elven Union last season. Which but we also have now gotten a lot more Nurgle and we have gotten a lot more Wood Elves.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah,
it's. We can also, I think we can change the Underworld denizens. I think there is now actually one
I've
Underworld
seen
denizen.
one, but like I said, like up here there is missing data from a few of the teams. So it's probably one.
It's, I'd say it's also just interesting that there's only 3 dwarf coaches. There's only 3.
Yeah, but I think that's still like almost 50% more than last season. I think that's a new.
So we've got Tominator who plays dwarves, Little Wing who plays dwarves,
Yeah, he's
and I think we've
he.
got one new dwarfs coach. I think
Yeah,
we've just got one, which is Senot.
yeah,
Um,
but that's
so
50% extra. Huh? Huh?
3 too many. Oh. as I said and as I said in the Discord, nobody likes them, but we need them. We need
So
dwarves.
so I so
You'll be thanking the dwarves are around when Zons turn up.
oh well, same with a lot of the other teams because I think you don't ever see dwarves eradicating and taking all the prizes at tournaments, but no one likes them anyway.
No, but I think they're a good choice. If you're playing a team event, you would want to take dwarves.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
They're a
yeah.
good
In the rucksack
they're a good end
saber,
holding.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The match that you
Um,
really don't want to lose.
yeah,
Again,
yeah.
in
So I
this,
say if I was doing the UK BB the UK TT in August,
yeah.
and I was wanting to win. That's what I was trying to do. Um, I would I would be considering having a dwarf team on my roster. However, I do agree with BB Nut. Zons aren't as bad against dwarves now. Then they aren't as bad. Um, but I don't know. There's a bit of me that I'm not sure. I like some of the changes. I do like um the fact that the Zons have been given a strength for Jaguar Warriors. But I also don't like the fact that we've had to lose two blitzers to do it, and the fact that we now don't have catchers. So we've gone from having essentially six, six, seven positionals to essentially we lose two of them because you'll only have five now. You'll have your two blitzers, your two jaguars, and then you'll have your thrower. So I would have liked them to have kept it, and I'm just not a fan of what they've done with vampires. Even though I seem to be in the minority, I don't like what they've done with vampires. I
So I
liked
must
vampires.
admit that I don't play the tabletop scene anymore really, so I can't say what's going on there. So I actually don't know what happened to vampires. So I'll
Well, you'll see when they turn up on Blood Bowl 3. I mean, they're very interesting. They've got a lot more to them, but I just like the fact that vampires were strong and they're agile. But they have
I
to
love the
combine.
gaze.
They're all the same. I agree, BB Nut. Hypno is ridiculous.
I,
Like that's ridiculous. I watched Doug Lowe at last year's UKBBL TT. I think I had a double screen set up, and I just watched him hypno gaze his way entirely through that screen to then sack the ball carrier. What can you do? It's two pluses, and all of those vampire teams they all have four rerolls, which, as much as oppositions might think, they're not all used on bloodlusts. In fact, I think it's probably very rarely they're used on bloodlusts unless they're like absolutely vital, like scoring or
so I
blitzing.
think the old vampires. Not that we should get too lost in that, but it was very much about the balance between the thralls and the vampires. Because as long as the vampires more or less was fed, they were unbeatable. And if you couldn't get rid of the thralls to sort of decapitate that, then they were going to win. It's sort of like the same issue I have now with Underworld. That is the way that Underworld works right now is a very non Blood Bowl related mechanic. It's almost like you will have a half where they will not stand up any of the players and they'll do their two tricks, and if they work they will win, and if not, that's it. And it's not a game, it's a meta game, and I
Yeah,
think it's sort of a little bit annoying.
yeah. I just seen we got Gav in the chat, so I'm very much looking forward to the TT. I think we've got
Oh yeah.
is it 41 coaches I think we've now got signed up. So thank you very much to those people who have. We have 9 spaces, I think, if that is correct, which you could possibly. I don't know whether Gav will take entrance, but could do. I'm hoping that he might say so. So the TT is next weekend. Oh,
I'm
Alfie's sign up.
expecting lots of pictures from that. Just
Um,
FYI, to be put on Discord.
well, yeah. Well, we'll take some. We can take some pictures
Good.
and put it out. we'll probably have a shot. So we might lose a couple of people.
Yeah.
That'll be a shame if Ian the Ace and Son the Slayer don't make it. But I'm assuming yes, if you'd like to come and you're free next weekend for, I don't care what anybody says, it is the best tournament on the entire
Well, I will
calendar.
put it this way: I haven't played
Honestly.
at a Blood Bowl tournament for the last 15 years, and I'm considering going there next year.
You should. It's
Yes,
fabulous, and it would be nice to see you in person
exactly.
instead of over a call.
Exactly.
I think that's all we've got time for this evening.
I think we should have a quick chat about the voting, though. I think that's
Oh,
great.
absolutely. Oh yeah. Sweet. Yeah. Can we play to another day? We'll sort out in the um in the thread. We'll play another night. Well, I haven't been to Nut Bowl, BB Nut. But it is the best TT by miles. So I'd like to do that. So yeah, the voting, which I think has now concluded. I'll just check to see if there's been any other ones. No surprise in the results for Prem West. So Andy Davo finished with 6. We then had yourself, Archangel, with 5. And then we had both the Wood Elves with 3. So the people's choice is Andy Davo, Archangel, and then either one of Sminty's or Simo and his Wood Elf roster. The Prem East, so I will check and see whether this has changed. It's very different over here. So you've got 2 with 4 votes. One is Corn Knight, and the other is Corbor and his Imperial Nobility. And then there's a load of coaches on 2s. So yeah, Corbor's
So, for those who are a little bit more visual like me, I hopefully can now show you the numbers at the same time.
Oh yes, there we go. How fabulous! So there we go. Yeah, that's just half of it, but it's I can see some things happening in the background. But yeah, I don't think there's any surprises there. I think the West is going to be there's going to be 3 or 4 coaches at the top, and then you're going to have everyone else. And then it's the East that's going to be really, really tight, like ridiculously close. The East is going to be.
I might have to disagree with you. I I I I think the teams are so prem and the coaches are so good. I think it's gonna be close again on both sides.
You think West is going to be close?
Yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
I like the
I
level
don't.
of coaches
I don't
and the
think there will be
teams.
shocks, but yeah.
I
Sorry, go
I
on.
I would rather put it this way. I think it's more gonna be 7 coaches in West and 7 coaches in East that's gonna really be competing. And then
Mm.
I think, like you say, like 3 or 4 of them is gonna be a neck further ahead than everyone else. But I think it's not gonna be like sometimes you have like runaways. I don't think we're gonna have that. But I
No,
could be
and
wrong.
I think this is also why I like 11 games in a season because I you've got more time to recover it. I think 24 points is the mark you need to be aiming for
Yeah,
to make playoffs. 24 seems to be the the cut. So it's kind of 8 wins out of 11,
yeah,
or 7 wins, 3 draws, and a
yeah.
loss. But 24 seems to be a good number. I think people have squeaked in with a little bit less, but if you're getting 24 points, you're probably making the playoffs. Um, but it'll be interesting to see how the season develops, and we will obviously come and do a few touchdown and touchbacks throughout the season.
That is now called All Access, but yes.
Oh, it's called All Access. I'm sorry, I didn't realize we'd had a
I
change of name.
no.
But,
I felt it was easier to pronounce and easier to type out, so I'll opt for that. So
Well, I hope, folks, that everybody has enjoyed this evening. I'm assuming that this will be available as a YouTube
it will
recording
be probably
or
by
as
tomorrow
a
morning.
watchback in case you wanted to watch all this drivel again. Um, skip the first sort of 30 because you can't hear us, but we can't hear me very well. Um, but yeah. So thank you very much, folks, and I wish you a very, very good season. May all your dice be sixes, unless you're playing
Except
me.
they're playing, yeah, you exactly. No, I wanna just do a little final shout out for Fire Doing Cup. For those who are not aware, it is a chance for you to play against any and all teams, more or less, at least those who sign up, as a friendly match and win real prizes, but suffer no consequences, penalties, or anything else to your team. So it's a free all to maybe try to play against some of those Prem players and get a little bit more experience or something like that. Sign up is closing soon, probably in the next 24 hours, and we only have, I think, last 16 tickets left, meaning that 16 more people can sign up. They should be on the Discord if you want to have a part of that. And then on Thursday, you can see Corn Knight bashing some orcs and claim the title. That's my prediction. And with that,
Yeah.
I will
Sorry,
hear the
that's
laughter
just
in the
scary.
background and
Yeah.
wish you all a great evening and have fun and take care. Bye.
Bye.